Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture on non-trivial intersecting families. So this is our team. So our main focus is on Hilton-Milner theorem. Before going to Hilton-Milner theorem, we are gonna need to cover some prerequisites and definitions. So the first definition, a family. A collection F of subsets of set S is called a family of sets over S. So it is denoted by scripted font, an intersecting family. If any two sets in a family have pairwise intersection, that is, their pairwise intersection is not an empty set, then they are said to be intersecting family, trivially intersecting. So if we fix an element, that is basically uh, if there is an element which is present in all the sets of the family, then it is a trivially intersecting family. So the intersection of all the sets is non-empty, non-trivially intersecting family. It is basically not a trivially intersecting family. As you can see this example here, there is no element which is uh, common to all the three sets, but it is intersecting since pairwise intersection is not empty set. Some notations and assumptions. So from here on, we'll be taking these notations and assumptions. So S is an n-element set. By n-element set, I mean set of first and natural numbers. So F is a family of K subset of S. That is, if the subsets are of S and are of size K, n greater than or equal to 2K. Because if K is n is less than 2K, then K will be greater than n by 2, and there will be a common element for all the sets of the family, and it will become trivially intersecting family. Now, coming to Erdős-Corrado theorem, this is a famous theorem in external combinatorics. It says that cardinality of a family, intersecting family of K subsets where n is greater than or equal to 2K is less than or equal to n minus 1, choose K minus 1. So I'm not going to discuss about the proof because it is lengthy and we have not enough time. So uh, can you think of an example where the size of the family is n minus 1, choose K minus 1? So if you're gonna fix a element from S, say we are fixing element 1, we have remaining K minus 1 elements to be chosen, and we have n minus 1 elements remaining from S. So we have n minus 1 choose K minus 1 ways to select our set. So the cardinality is n minus 1 choose K minus 1. But you can observe that since we are fixing an element, the element is common to all the sets of the family, and hence it is a trivially intersecting family. But can we obtain the same result for the non-trivially intersecting family? That's the discussion of our, that's the today's discussion of this lecture. So what does Hilton-Milner theorem states is, cardinality of F is less than or equal to n minus 1 choose K minus 1 minus n minus 1 n minus K minus 1 choose K minus 1 plus 1. Uh, so let's see this in further slides. So as I've already stated the Erdős-Corrado theorem. So again the same thing. This n minus 1 choose K minus 1 limit we can obtain for a trivially intersecting family. But can we obtain it for non-trivially intersecting family is our question. So let's take an example. So if S equal to S is a 4-element set 1, 2, 3, 4, then by Erdős-Corrado theorem n minus 1 choose K minus 1 equal to 3. Can we construct a non-trivial intersecting family of size 3? So this will look like something like this. There is pairwise intersection but no common intersection. So yeah, we are able to construct for a 4-element set. Now let's increase the size of n. For general n and k equal to 2, we'll have the limit as n minus 1. So for n equal to 5, let's check if we can construct a family of size 5 minus 1, 4, non-trivial family. So 1, 2, 2, 3, and 1, 3 are 3 sets. Now if you're gonna add some other set, it will stop becoming a non-trivial intersecting family. For example, if you're gonna insert 1 comma 5, there will be no intersection with 2 comma 3, so it won't be an intersecting family anymore. You can check. So for any general n and k equal to 2, we'll have maximum size of 3 for the non-trivial intersecting family. So we are never gonna achieve this n minus 1 choose k minus 1 limit if k is higher and n is higher. So let's take a simple construction. So F1 is a subset of S. This F1 is not a family but a set, since we are not using a scripted notation. And the cardinalities of F1 is K. And also assume that X1 does not belong to F1 but belongs to S minus F1. So we define our family F1 as a union of set F1 and some set some subset of S such that X1 belongs to that subset and it is of size K. Also, to maintain the intersecting family condition, we have to say that F intersection F1 is not equal to 5. So now this family is intersecting, right? So let's consider this part, this family. So let's denote it by S1, scripted notation S1. So S1 is a trivially intersecting family because X1 belongs to every set of this family. Now we can if now we need to find the size of this family, maximum size of this family. Say we don't have this condition. So if we don't have this condition, we'll obtain the case for F intersection F1 equal to 5 and F intersection F1 not equal to 5. Then we are gonna remove the F intersection F1 equal to 5 part from the total part, and we'll obtain the result for F intersection F1 not equal to 5. So removing this, for only this part, we need to apply Erdős-Corrado theorem. So we have n minus 1 elements, n elements and k sized sets. So n minus 1 choose k minus 1 is the total size of family. Now removing this F intersection F1 equal to 5, this part, since we can't choose from F now because F intersection we can't choose from F1, since F intersection F1 equal to 5, we have n minus k minus 1 elements left to be chosen from. Now we have to choose k minus 1 elements, so we have n minus k minus 1 choose k minus 1 ways. So the total size is n minus 1 c k minus 1 minus n minus k minus 1 c k minus 1. This is the size of S1. Now since we are also adding F1, the size will be 1 plus n minus 1 choose k minus 1 plus n minus k minus 1 choose k minus 1. So this is the limit from Hilton-Milner theorem. So we can let's see if we can construct a much better bound with another example. So let's consider this example where F2 is a subset of S and its cardinality is 3. Also, we'll define family F2 as a subset of S, K subset of S, such that its intersection with F2 has at least 2 elements. Now, clearly this family is an intersecting family with at least 2 elements from F2. And as cardinalities of F2 is 3, there must be at least one common element among any two sets. So let's calculate its size. So we can divide this into two cases. One is F intersection F2 equal to 2 and other is F intersection F2 equal to 3. So for a two elements case, we can choose two elements from three elements of F2 in three choose two ways multiplied by remaining k minus 2 elements. We can choose from n minus 3 elements in n minus 3 choose k minus 2 ways. Now let's take sets which have all three elements of F2. So there's only one way we can choose from F2. And remaining k minus 3 elements, we can choose from the n minus 3 elements in set S. In n minus 3, choose k minus 3 ways. So the total number of elements will be total number of sets will be 3 into n minus 3 choose k minus 2 plus n minus 3 choose k minus 2. So we can compare this with our above obtained bound. So for k equal to 2, this will be 0, this part will be 0, and this will be 1. So 3 into 1 is 3, so mod f2 is 3. And similarly for this one, this is n minus 1 choose 1 minus n minus 3 choose 1, which is 2, this will be 2 plus 1, 3. So we obtain mod f1 equal to mod f2 for k equal to 2. Similarly, we'll obtain the same result for k equal to 3. But for again k greater than 3 and n is greater than 2k, of course, we have mod f2 less than mod f1. So this is just an intuitive idea for what is Hilton-Milner theorem, what does it state about non-trivial intersecting family. We'll see a more formal proof for it, which will be explained by my friend.
So let's discuss Hilton-Milner theorem. What Hilton-Milner theorem states that is the best bound for Erdos-Corrado theorem is only achieved when the intersecting family is a trivial intersecting family. So what does this mean? So whenever we try to construct a non-intersecting family, non-trivial intersecting family, the maximum size of the family can never be n-1c k-1. So Hilton-Milner also proposed a better bound for non-trivial intersecting families, which is mod f1. As you know, we have defined mod f1 in the previous slides, and the equality in this situation where mod f equal to mod f1 only happens when f is of the form f1 or f is of the form f2, and in case of f equal to f2, the equality occurs only when k is less than or equal to 3. And as you can see here, we have n is greater than 2k, whereas in Erdos-Corrado we have n greater than or equal to 2k. So what happens to the equality over here? So let's try to verify that by substituting n equals to 2k in mod f1. So we have our mod f1 over here. This is our mod f1. So when we try to substitute n equals to 2k, this term becomes 2k minus k minus 1, which is k minus 1. K minus 1c k minus 1. It's basically 1. So we have 1 and 1 get cancel, and it becomes n minus 1c k minus 1, which again is the best bound for Erdos-Corrado. Whereas Hilton-Milner is trying to say prove a better bound. So for every n greater than 2k, there is a no non-trivial family such that mod f is equal to n minus 1c k minus 1. And also for every non-trivial family which satisfies n greater than 2k, the bound is always less than or equal to mod f1. That's what Hilton-Milner theorem states. And let's move on. So some of the basic assumptions we use in the proof is like S is linearly ordered. So that's just without loss of generality, we take that S is linearly ordered, and F is a non-trivial family of maximal size. So that's what we are trying to achieve. We are showing that for maximum size, it's the maximum non-trivial families of size at most mod f1. That's what we are trying to prove, and we will try to prove this by induction. So the base case is that k equals to 2. So for k equals to 2, we have seen in previous slides that we always get a 3-element triangle like 1 2 2 3 and 3 1. So the base case holds as this is always less than or equal to mod f1. And for before further going into the proof, we define an exchange function which is sxy of f. F over here is a family and f over here is a set, and sxy over family f is such that sxy over a set f for all f belongs to the family f. So again we have to define what is sxy of set f. So we have defined sxy of set f over here. So basically what we are trying to do is that we remove the higher elements and replace them with the lower elements. Over here you can see that Sxy of f equals to f minus y union x, and this operation is only performed if the set f doesn't contain x and contains y, and the newly obtained set doesn't belongs to f1. So these are the conditions, and x comma y belongs to f and x is always less than y. So what this operation does to our non-trivial intersecting family is it gives us another non-trivial intersecting family such that all the elements in that are concentrated to the left half of the set, as we have taken set as a linearly ordered set. So let's write our first proposition. So our first proposition is that mod Sxy of f is always equal to mod f. So what does it say? So what it says is that whenever we perform a transform equation on a family f, there are no two sets which correspond to the same set. So if a family has k sets, if the family has k sets, and after performing Sxy to f, it again has k sets, and Sxy of f is always intersecting if f is an intersecting family. So the first part is obvious. The first part is obvious, as whenever we perform Sxy of f, we only add that set to our family if it is already not present in our family. We don't add it if the transformed set is already present in the family. So the size is guaranteed. So for the next part, to prove that Sxy of f is intersecting, we can divide our family into four parts: sets containing both x and y, sets which contain x but not y, sets which contain y but not x, and sets which don't contain both x and y. So as you can see, when we perform Sxy over f, the sets which transform belong to the sets of type 3. Rest all sets don't get affected. That's from the definition of Sxy. So let's see what happens. So the third set, the sets of form 3 transform to sets of form 2. If you see that we replace y with x, right? So initially the sets of form 3 doesn't have y but contain x. So now after transforming they have x but not y. But all sets of form 3 do not transform, as there might be already existing sets when they are transformed. So let's continue. So we have to prove that Sxy of f is intersecting. So it is sufficient to prove that the newly transformed sets intersect with rest of the sets, because only those are the ones that changed, and f is initially intersecting. So the newly formed sets contain x but not y. So they intersect with sets of form 2, as they have common element x, and the elements intersect with the sets of form 1, as they both contain x, and the sets of form 3 which transformed used to intersect with sets of form 4. So they intersect independent of x and y. So even after transformation, they always intersect, and the only problem is proving that transformed sets of form 3 intersect with untransformed sets of form 3. So what happens over here? So the newly transformed sets are of form 2, whereas we have sets of form 3. So the sets of form 2 contain x but not y, and the sets of form 3 contain y but not x. So clearly we can see there is no intersection between xy and yx, as one has x and doesn't have y, and one has y and doesn't has x. So sets of form 3 only don't transform if there is an already existing set which is of that form after transforming. So what happens over here? So there are sets in form 2, which are transform sets in form 3. I don't have an example, unfortunately, but it's okay. So initially, the transformed sets intersect with sets of form 2. So they also intersect with sets of form 3 after transformation. That's basically our logic. So we proved our proposition, and what we do now is that we repeatedly apply Sxy to our non-trivial intersecting family until we reach any of the two following stages over here. So the first one is that we get a stable family G, and we'll define it after some time, and we get a family H such that Sxy of H is a trivial family. So a stable family is defined as for any two x comma y, if you perform Sxy on G, you again get the set G. Then it's called a stable family. And for sets, we are ready to move forward, and we can move to the next step directly. And we define a set x not equal to 5. We'll know why we defined it like this, the later parts. And if we get a family H which is such that Sxy of H is trivial, we define x1 equal to x comma y, and x comma y here are the x comma y corresponding to Sxy of H equal to trivial, and we apply Sxy on H repeatedly such that the new x comma y belongs to set S minus x1 till we get a stable family G. So we can move on to next part, I guess. So now we have a stable family after performing Sxy. So now we arrived at G by two ways. One of them being directly arriving at G, and the other being getting a trivial family in H in between. And for the first case, we defined x naught as 5, and the second case we defined x1 as x comma y, where Sxy of H is trivial. And after we got the trivial family, we again performed exchange operations for x comma y belonging to S minus x1 until we got a stable family. So that's what we have done over here. So now let's define y1. So y1 is a collection of first 2k minus 1 elements of S, 2k minus 2i elements of S, and y is defined as yi union xi. So in case of xi, it is basically the first 2k elements of S, and in case of y1, it is first 2k minus 2 elements of S union x comma y. So let's jump into our first lemma. So if we take any two sets G comma G prime belonging to G, we have that G intersection G prime intersection Y doesn't have has a common intersection, like G intersection G prime intersection Y is not equal to 5. So we can directly say that G intersection G prime not equal to 5 is obvious, as G is a intersecting family. We have G intersection G prime not equal to 5, and we can more intuitively say that the exchange operations performed caused the non-trivial intersecting family to be more concentrated to the left half of the set S. That's a more intuitive form to put it. And let's prove the before statement. So suppose we prove the following statement using contradiction. So we assume that G intersection G prime intersection Y is equal to 5, and G intersection G prime mod G intersection G prime is minimal. So from our assumption, what we get is G intersection G prime intersection S minus Y is not equal to 5, as all the elements of G are from S, and there are no common elements which belongs to Y. So obviously G intersection G prime intersection S minus Y is not equal to 5. And we have mod G equal to K and mod G prime equal to K. as they are k element subsets, and g intersection g prime not equal to 5 as they are intersecting. So mod of g union g prime is less than or less than 2k. This is from union bound, and we have mod y equals 2k from the definition of y. So there belongs some x belongs to y such that x doesn't belongs to g union g prime, as mod y equals to 2k and mod g union g prime is less than 2k. There should exist some x such that x doesn't belongs to g union g prime, and there exists a y which doesn't belongs to uh, the capital set y, and it belongs to g intersection g prime, as g intersection g prime intersection y is 0, there exists such y. So now we will perform an operation sxy of g prime. So x and y are the x and y we defined over here. So what happens after the transformation is g prime minus y union x, which is some g prime prime. So it also belongs to our family G, as G is a stable family, and any exchange operations won't change the family. And we get that G intersection G prime prime intersection Y is equal to 5. Like G prime prime is G prime minus Y union X. So when you intersect it with G, it doesn't change anything, as the element which we have added doesn't belong to G union G prime. So G intersection G double prime is still doesn't contain any element of Y, as the only element we have added is X. So and mod of G intersection G prime is less than mod G intersection mod G intersection G prime prime is less than mod G intersection G prime. We can say this because we are adding an element which doesn't belongs to G union G prime, and removing an element which belongs to G intersection G prime. So basically we are reducing the size of the intersection. So mod of G intersection G prime prime is less than mod of G intersection G prime. So we got a contradiction over here, because we defined that mod of G intersection G prime is minimal when G intersection G prime intersection Y is 5. So we got a contradiction, and hence it's proved. We define AI such that AI equal to G intersection Y, such that G belongs to our family G and G intersection Y equal to I. You can see that this family is an intersecting family, because if you take any two elements, G intersection Y and G prime intersection Y, their intersection is G intersection G prime intersection Y. And from lemma 1, we have that G intersection G prime intersection Y is not equal to 5. And we have that mod G intersection Y is equal to I. So it's an I intersecting family. So let's move on to lemma 2. From lemma 2, what our lemma 2 states, that is mod AI is less than or equal to 2k minus 1 ci minus 1 minus k minus 1 ci minus 1 for I belonging to 1 to k minus 1, and for k, that is mod ak is less than or equal to 2k minus 1 c k minus 1. So we prove this lemma by using contradiction. So let's say that for the case 1, which is I belongs to 1 to k minus 1, we have that mod I is greater than 2k minus 1 ci minus 1 minus k minus 1 ci minus 1. So we can rewrite this by writing it as mod ai is greater than or equal to, which equality corresponds to this part, 2k minus 1 ci minus 1, and we replace k minus 1 ci minus 1 with 2k minus I minus 1 ci minus 1 plus 1. Since I is less than k, 2k minus I minus 1 is always greater than k minus 1. So this term is a larger term, and we are subtracting a larger term from 2k minus 1 ci minus 1. So mod ai would also be greater than this term. So from our initial hypothesis, uh, which is the statement of Hilton-Milner theorem, we have for any non-trivial intersecting family of any non-trivial intersecting family, we have that mod f is less than or equal to mod f1, and clearly this is the mod f1, as all the elements are constructed out of y, which has 2k elements, and it is an I intersecting, like it's a k element subset, which where k element subset is I. So the n becomes 2k and the k becomes I over here. So we got this is our mod f1. So since mod ai is greater than mod f1, we have to say that mod ai is a trivial family. So there should exist some element x belongs to intersection ai. This is a trivial element. There can be more than one. So now we know that G is a non-trivial intersecting family. So there should exist a set in G such that X doesn't belongs to that set. So we choose a set G such that X doesn't belongs to G. So from our lemma 1, we get G intersection A is not equal to 5. This is A is basically some G prime intersection Y, because A is defined that way. If you see over here, any element of AI is of the form G intersection Y, and we have chosen a new G such that G intersection A is not equal to 5. This we can say by lemma 1, as G intersection G prime intersection Y is not equal to 5, and this is true for all A belongs to AI. And our G doesn't, if we add an I subset of G such that the I subset of G has all the elements in the all the elements uh, uh, which intersect with A, for all A belongs to AI, then the new AI will also be an intersecting family, as the new added G is intersecting with A for all A belongs to AI. And when you now again take the intersection for the whole AI, it becomes 5, as G doesn't have x1, or rather x in this case, where x is the intersection of AI. So intersection AI becomes 5. So making the family a non-trivial family. So for non-trivial family, mod AI is less than mod f1. But our initial assumption is that mod AI is greater than mod f1. So we got a contradiction. For the second case, it's much more easy to prove it. We take A belonging to AK, and A is a k element subset, as you know that, and y minus A is also a k element subset, as y has 2 k elements, and it doesn't belong to AK, as AK is an intersecting family. So we have that mod A is less than 1 by 2 times 2kck, where 2kck is number of combinations of k element subsets we can form from 2k elements of Y. So 2kck is basically 2k by k c 2k minus 1 c k minus 1. So 2 and 1 by 2 gets cancelled. So mod A is less than or equal to 2k minus 1 c k minus 1, and that's basically proving it. So now coming back to the main theorem in hand, which is Hilton-Milner theorem. We take a fixed A from AI. So now if we see number of G belonging to the family G such that G intersection Y gives us A. We have n minus 2k C k minus I, because G has the I elements. Basically, G has I elements from Y, and all other n minus k minus I elements belong to S minus Y. So number of possibilities of G is, we have to choose k minus I elements from S minus Y. So S minus Y has a size of n minus 2k. So number of possibilities is n minus 2k C k minus I. So now calculating mod G. So mod G is sigma I equals to 1 to k mod AI times n minus 2k C k minus I. So basically, for an I element subset, we have these many possibilities, and there are mod AI times mod AI I element subsets. So it becomes mod AI times n minus 2k C k minus I, and it's running from I equal to 1 to k. So this gives us our maximum size of G. So again writing the same thing, and substituting the result we got from our lemma 2 for mod AI, it becomes 1 plus sigma times this thing over here. We get a 1 over here because for mod AK, uh, uh, it's we get an additional 1 over here for mod AK, and the rest of the thing we can write it as a sigma form. We are writing this because of the symmetry. Otherwise, mod AK is only 2k minus 1 C I minus 1. Instead, we are writing for k also 2k minus 1 C I minus 1 minus k minus 1 C I minus 1. So we have to add this part extra. That's the 1 over here. When you substitute k, you get minus 1 over here. So we are adding another 1 over here. So this reduces to 1 plus n minus 1 C k minus 1 minus n minus k minus 1 C k minus 1. You get this from binomial theorem. So the sigma over here uh, reduces to the sum of the upper half C sum of the lower halves. So as you can see over here, n minus 2k plus 2k minus 1, it becomes n minus 1, and I minus 1 plus k minus I, it becomes k minus 1. So it becomes the sigma over that becomes n minus 1 C k minus 1. And similarly over here, k minus 1 C I minus 1 times n minus 2k times n minus 2k C k minus 1 becomes n minus 2k plus k minus 1, which is n minus k minus 1, C k minus I plus I minus 1, which is k minus 1. So the term reduces to 1 plus n minus 1 C k minus 1 minus n minus k minus 1 C k minus 1, which is our mod f1. So we proved that mod G is always less than or equal to mod f1. So that's done, and we need to prove that this is the best bound. So we proved that it is always less than or equal to this, but we can't be sure of the equality. So for the best bound, what we do is like, as we have seen before, we have already constructed a set f1 which is non-trivial and has size mod f1. So basically we showed that the equality holds. So for any non-trivial intersecting family, mod f1 gives the best bound. So some additional problems and further study, if you are interested in this topic, uh, going into this link gives you a different proof for Hilton Miller, which is more rigorous, and it's proved by injective mapping. And also the results are a bit similar for the T intersecting families. T intersecting families are families such that for any two sets belonging to the family, mod of S intersection S prime is greater than or equal to T. That's what T intersecting families means. And we have for n greater than n naught of k, k comma t. This is just a function of k comma t. we have that mod f is less than or equal to n minus t ck minus t. This is actually t, n minus t ck minus t. The best bound for n naught of k comma t. This is k minus t plus 1 into t plus 1. It's proved by Frankel first, and he showed it for all t greater than or equal to 15. And recently it's proved by Wilson. He proved it for all t. And similarly for Hilton Milner also, we define the families f1 and f2 such as over here. I won't be elaborating over this. It's just it's a similar construction. Then again, mod f is less than or equal to max of mod f1 comma mod f2. And the equality holds similarly when f equals to f1 and k greater than 2t plus 1, or f equals to f2 and k less than 2t plus 1. Thank you.